We are here with one of the organizers for the Chicago Socialist Alternative, Darletta Scruggs, who was recently invited on Fox News with Neil Cavuto and surprised him with very clear responses despite his usual attempts to derail his liberal leaning guests.
Mhm.
How fun was that for you?
That was fun. I was actually surprised that he allowed me to go on that long.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I just always thought, okay, he's going to close it out. So let me make a point here. And then at some point, it just became this back and forth thing. And then I realized we've been going on for a long time.
His tactic is to make the left leaning guests look like lunatics.
Yeah.
You got through really well, and he must have liked what you had to say. I think he did agree with you on some points, which, again, is something unusual, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's at one point I smiled when I was like, "Don't you agree?" He was like, "I do agree," and I was like, "That's all I needed."
I've been reading right leaning sites that people were just saying all kinds of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I'm sure you read some of those.
Yeah, I did. The one that says I immediately ended that discussion and went to my Instagram and posted on Facebook and got a Uber, all of these things that are provided for by capitalism, which I'm complaining about. Thing is, I don't even have an Instagram. I don't take Uber. Um, but okay.
They thought you were uninformed when it comes to private business taxes in the economy.
We do have to cut across this narrative that you have to be an expert to even have the conversation, because I mean that's a very biased intentional narrative that's designed to really structure people out of the conversation, particularly women too, because there was a lot of tone policing that I've seen in kind of the right wing reactionaries, that I should have went on there and just listened and be educated. And it's like, well, I was invited on the show to speak, so I spoke. So I think those arguments are really less about the content of what I said and more of kind of straw man arguments to discredit what I said, because if they actually had to talk about the actual facts that I brought to light, then they would just prove me correct. And the goal is to not. So let's deflect and talk about things that aren't even relevant.
How did the rally go a few days ago? Were you satisfied with the results?
So the Million Student March rally,
Yes.
yeah. So it was a national rally. There was some places like Seattle, Boston that really took off, and it was very exciting. I know Texas had a very large rally. What we found this time around is that the campus administration really cracked down hard in really silencing students' ability to organize by threatening expulsions and suspensions and all
Really?
kind of things. Oh yeah. But in Missouri University, particularly where we have a very large contingent of students that are a part of the Black Liberation Collective, which is who we partnered with this time around, they were told if they made any noises that they would all be expelled. So they had to do a
Wow.
silent protest. And I think a couple of students were even arrested there.
Wow.
So we're starting to see administration really cracking hard this time to stifle any ability for student organizing or activism on campuses.
Now, if the system can't afford free education and we can't afford the system, can you explain what you had meant by the system change?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, well, we can afford a society, in this current society, we can't afford things like education, housing, food, clean water, shelter. If under this way of organizing our society that those things can't be done, well, then we need to restructure how we organize our society, because we can't live without food, without water, without shelter, and without some level of literacy. So, then obviously if this system can't provide it, then we need a new system. Now, when we talk about systems, I think it's important that we be very specific. The system of capitalism, particularly neoliberal capitalism, is what we're seeing now: massive privatization of public resources, this huge ideology around profits and making the most amount, even if it means it'll destroy entire economies or bankrupt entire systems, as long as you can make money off of it. And that is the system where we live in today, where the needs of people aren't a priority, it's money being made. And I would argue that the system that we should look forward to is a democratically planned socialist society where the core reasoning for how we organize our labor, our resources, all of that is based on the needs of society. So we will prioritize needs over everything, and we wouldn't be doing things like destroying planet or upgrading nuclear weapons or start, continuing endless wars. All of that would not be a necessity because we would be organizing based on the needs of people.
It seems like the military industrial complex money that goes to them is so disproportionate. It would solve a lot of problems if we allocated that to real programs that improve our society and our world, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, we could just look at, nuclear weapons in the age of where we're facing a severe climate crisis. I mean, Texas just the other day went underwater.
Yeah.
It flooded. We're really are dealing with the question of, will we have a planet years from now? And the response to that is let's upgrade nuclear weapons and then go nuke countries and destroy the planet even more. I mean, it's something really psychologically wrong with these people that are in these elected offices, that they really feel that this is where money should be spent. $1 trillion. You know how many things we can solve with $1 trillion? A lot.
So much. So, what do you think would take to win free education and other demands that Socialist Alternative and Bernie Sanders are wanting?
I think it will take people getting active and getting involved. As far as free education, it will take a lot of students really organizing and getting involved. We see in some places, for example, here in Chicago, you have what was called the Corinthian 7 colleges, that
Yeah.
a lot of students start organizing, refusing to pay back their student debt. And they were able to take their cases to federal court, and it was found that Corinthian colleges were doing predatory lending. They were lying about job aspects. They were falsifying their ability to transfer credits to other colleges, say you want to further your education. A lot of these things, but it takes people getting organized and participating in the dialogue and not really falling for this idea that we can have things like free education, other things like what Bernie is calling for, a $15 minimum wage. People are saying, well, we'll destroy the economy. No, minimum wages have never destroyed the economy. Universal health care. Why can't we have universal health care? Because private insurance companies don't want that to happen, not because it's not financially doable. So I think it takes, for one, people, understanding that these things can be done and questioning a society that refuses to provide it, and then getting active and getting organized.
For Syndicated News Network, I'm Max Vasquez. Thank you for listening.